Hello, everyone. Welcome to Making It Real and a special series that we're doing, the Wellness Client Autopilot, a monthly series we are doing with guest expert Sebastian Hilbert. Sebastian, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Kiki.
And so this is episode 2. And in this episode, we are going to talk all about client attraction language. I know that this is something that is really dear to Sebastian's heart. And so it's really all about understanding how to get crystal clear on your niche so that you can really resonate with your audience. And so without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Sebastian. And I know that we didn't really get a chance in our first episode for folks to learn a little bit more about you. So I hope that you're going to share more of that juiciness today.
Absolutely, will do, Kiki. Thank you so much for the intro. And as I said, having me again. So really looking forward to this. I know we want to keep it short, sharp, and punchy. So as I just said, we dive right into it. So let me share my screen. I've prepared a little presentation. I hope tech is going to work. So trying to change over here. Okay, how does that look?
Perfect.
Yeah, okay, very good. All right, so let's get ourselves underway. So as you said, today is all about the client attraction language as the second part of our Wellness Client Autopilot series. So before we dive in, as I said, I like to share a little bit about like who I am, because I know that's really important for your language to give you a bit of an example, and at the same time also gives everyone an understanding of where I'm actually coming from and why I'm doing all of this. So as you can see here, this is my partner, Teresa, and I. We've started Wellnesspreneur now about 4 years ago together. And after we traveled through Europe for 4 years, living in Switzerland, Germany, Vienna, we run a bed and breakfast for 9 months in France. So it's been all a pretty amazing journey. But where I'm coming from with all of this is that I have been born in a tiny German village in East Germany. And by tiny, I mean 200 people living there, 199 since I left. So it is really small. And what's happening over there is that the education around health and wellness is almost like zero to none. It's getting better now, but especially during the time when I was a boy, it's been wellness been this like woo-woo thing, right? So nobody really wanted to hear about it. Everyone just went to that doctor when it was so bad that I couldn't work anymore. Like Germans are all a bit, work crazy. So the only time they go to the doctor and do something about any pain or being unwell is when they can't work anymore. That's the trigger for them. And what that does is, unfortunately, chronic diseases like diabetes, the big three, diabetes, cancer, and cardiovascular diseases, cardiovascular disease, they are like kind of as a given. I was always told you can't do anything about them. And I lost 2 grandfathers. Unfortunately, my grandfather just passed away 2 weeks ago. My last grandfather I had, and he had a rare protein disease. And I also lost lots of friends. I have family members right now who's suffering from those big three. And only when I came to Australia, a whole new world opened up to me, where people in the alternative health industry told me that these, like 90% of these cases, are actually preventable and can be changed. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And my next thought was right away, how can I be part of this? How can I help people who doing the right thing, who teach people about nutrition, fitness, energy healers, spiritual healers, all of these incredible things that I started to learn about. How can I help those people to make a bigger impact and thrive and help more people? And what I then quickly noticed is that many of them are really good in what they do, and are really good in their modality, whatever it is, but they're not so good in business. So that's where I thought, oh my God, I can actually help you. I can provide lots of value. And that's when we started, when we came back from our 4-year trip through Europe, came back to Australia. And that's when we decided, okay, let's create Wellnesspreneur, where we niche down with our business and help those who are doing the right thing, because we know because of that work, eventually I will impact my family at home. And right now, my mom has, and my dad went for the 5th time, I think, to an osteopath. They started reading a few books that I sent to them. I just did a launch of my book called Wellness Influence, which also will teach them. And I bought a few copies of that, obviously, because they're my family. But it's always starting to make that impact, and that's why this is also so dear to my heart. And that's basically my story. So moving on from here, what I want to do today is I want to show you the number one mistake wellness business in wellness business marketing. Right? Like what's for me, like what I see 99% of business owners do wrong. And then I want to show you the essential foundations of any successful marketing campaign. And as I said here, as a little hint, it's not social media. How does that sound, Gigi? You ready for that?
What a relief that it's not social media. I know that people are now they're gonna stay tuned. So thank you.
Very good. I thought so. Okay, so when we think about that, the first thing we need to realize is that we are bombarded with sales messages every single day, right? There are statistics which show you that when you go to work in the morning, you drive to work, that you see up to 3,000 or 5,000 sales messages on your way to work. Obviously, it's different to when I would go to work in my small village, or my parents go to work in my small village, compared to living in Sydney or in New York or wherever it is. But fact is that we are bombarded with sales messages every single day. And if I would ask you, Kiki, when you last time you drove to work or to shops, how many of these sales messages that you've been bombarded with do you remember?
Only the ones that I've seen a billion times, or the ones that are, directly relevant to me in my needs right now.
Yeah. Do you remember any specific one?
No.
No,
right now
no.
it's all about stay home.
Right now, anyway, that's right. Yeah, right now it's anyway like this. That's true. But what the fact is that our brain learned to weed out these messages, right? It learned to ignore these messages. And yes, if there's like McDonald's or Coca-Cola or all the big ones, right? Like they dig that hole by just having it everywhere. And yes, you remember that brand at the end. But the sales messages from the local lawyer around the corner who says, no win, no. It's actually someone I do remember because it's been seen quite a lot. It was something like no win, no fee or something like that, right?
Yeah,
so
sounds good.
And it's good, right? But I have my marketing brain on, so I would always see them really, really quickly. Yeah. But fact is, we learn to remove them from us because they're not relevant, because they just scream at us sales. So when we go to the wellness product, back to the wellness product ecosystem from last session, that's the number one mistake. So it doesn't matter if you focus on building a website, if you focus on paid promotion or events or social media, or with trying to create partners, all these different channels there on the left. And it also doesn't matter if you focus on building your wellness product ecosystem. If you don't understand how to create content for these different parts in your systems in a way that it really engages and piques interest with your audience, none of that will really make the impact that you wanted to make for your business. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah, it would just be wasted effort, essentially.
Absolutely. So the language that you use behind all of the things that you do for your business, meaning all of the things that you do for your business to get out there and get more business in are in all of these things need to be crystal clear around how you communicate that. Once you have someone in, or like you have a presentation like this, it doesn't really matter so much anymore, because that's at the point where you have someone's attention, when they kind of giving you a green light and saying, okay, I'm actually going to listen to you. But now I can stumble a little bit and I can really be me. It doesn't really matter as long as what I say actually makes sense, right? And it provides value. But at the beginning, through all our channels here on the left, and throughout that automated part of our business, it's really, really important that the message is congruent, piques interest, and is unique. So usually we say your content needs to be unique, specific, and value rich. But I repeat that. So every time we're going to create a message, it needs to be unique, specific, and value rich. So unique is something like, instead of saying you're a naturopath, you say, I'm the vitality queen, right? But that's something unique. So come up with something that's quirky, it's fun, and not everyone uses. Specific is something like, I'm the vitality queen, and I help women in menopause to create more energy in 30 days, right? In 30 days, that's very specific. Now, value rich is because you help a certain audience, women with menopause, to create more energy. So then I have those three parts hit. But does it make sense how that sounds much more interesting than saying I'm a naturopath and help you with your diet?
Yeah, definitely is piquing interest, because you're separating yourself from others.
Exactly, because if I then want to get to the vitality queen and want to be helped in 30 days, I have to go to that person who pitched that message, right? And I can't just go to another naturopath and compare prices. So that language, that's just one little part of the language. Where that comes from and how that feeds into everything else, and that's what I gonna show you at the end, as a little gift to our audience, and how to create that. But before we go into that, let's get our mindset right. So it's all about how to communicate your transformational value effectively so that it engages your ideal client and drives sales. Now, how do we do that? You need to understand that people buy emotionally and they justify logically. That's the first stone. And also, this is the foundation I was talking about at the beginning. But this is the foundation of everything for your marketing flow, right? So it's number 2 we're talking about today. So how do I understand this? People buy emotionally and justify logically. I like to often bring up the example of when you go to the shops and you see a pair of jeans, right? And you think, oh, they fit really well and they make you look really good. And then you think, oh, I'm actually just going to get them in 2 colors, because they're so good, I'm going to buy them right now. Now, when you can come home, this is a fairly emotional decision because you feel really, really good about yourself, seeing yourself in those jeans, right? So you, and that's, by the way, that's the same for women and men. I have the same thing. I may not buy in 2 colors, but I buy it based on because I like myself, how I look in them. So then I go home and then you say like, oh, the jeans, I can wear them in many occasions. You justify how many outfits you can create because you have 2 colors, and then your logical brain starts to justify why you just spend $300 on 2 pairs of jeans, right? So that's a very a normal thing to go through. So when you sell your program, your services, it's always about how can I create emotions in my audience to then make the sale. So the really easy way to do that is using what we call an empathy matrix. So if you're at home right now, grab a piece of paper. You can always, there's a recording, you can always pause it and grab a piece of paper and start it again and draw this little framework here. So as you can see, it's basically a little cross. And on the top, it says, now at the bottom it says future, on the left-hand side it says away, on the right-hand side it says towards. Now that gives you a start to start thinking the right direction of how can I create words and language that will create emotion in my audience. Now let's look at the top left quadrant. It says away and now. So what would that be for your customer? So it's something that is immediate and that they're wanting to move away from. So basically another word from that is, what are their problems? All right, so what are their immediate problems? And think about this, what is it that they come to you when they first talk to you? So I want to lose weight. I'm stressed. I feel like I'm not tapping into my purpose, right? So what are the immediate problems that I want to move away from? Then you go to, okay, now what is immediate and they want to move towards to? So what, in other words, what do they want? So they don't want to be so stressed. They may want to have more balance. They want to lose weight. They may want to achieve their, want to lose 10 kilograms. Right? This kind of language that gets you started, and that's usually fairly easy to establish. Now, then you take the next step. Okay, what would I want to move away from? So that's the bottom left quadrant now. And what is it? What do they want to move away from in terms of their future? So in other words, what happens if they don't solve their problems right now? What are they afraid of? And this is a really good thing, really good way of thinking about this. So what is the problems? And if they don't solve them right now, what does that mean for them in the future, like 3-6 months? So they want to have less stress because they're afraid of not being able to spend quality time with their family and friends. Right? They want to lose weight because they're afraid of not being accepted by the people they work with. Whatever it is for your audience. Now, once you have some notes around that, then you think about, okay, what does that mean of the other half of this diagram, the bottom right quadrant? Why do they what do they want to walk towards to that is in the future? So if they have X want, why? How does that affect their life? Why do they want to have that at a deeper level? So what are they dreaming of? Right, so they want to lose 10 kilograms because they dream of having more energy, feeling really good about themselves, all of these things. Does that make sense, Kiki?
Yeah, totally. I'm already doing the exercise.
Very good, right? So usually when you go through, it's fairly straightforward, but usually when you have that structure, it triggers your brain to come up with some better language that you can use. Now, what really creates the emotion here is the bottom half. Right? So those fears and those dreams, that's really what creates emotion. So if I say like, yeah, well, you want to lose weight and achieve a bit more energy in your life. Okay, that's a problem and the one that I'm talking about. But if I say, well, you want to lose weight because you really fear that you will always feel crap about yourself and you will never have enough energy to do the things you love, because what you really want is to feel really good about yourself because you're on your dream weight and always have the space in your life and the balance to have quality time with your family and friends. But if I say it's all the same, but because I use that language, it instantly creates emotion. With the right person who your ideal, and it's always about, comes back to your ideal client, but if with the right person, that will hit the mark, and that will get them to know, yes, that's me, tell me more.
Yeah. Should it be a 50-50 balance, may I ask? Like, or should it be more towards dreams and kind of lighter on fears when it comes to your copy or context? Or I guess
yeah, that's a really good question, Kiki. What I usually focus on is wants and dreams with my language, because people who want to, and that's a bit of a business decision, because people who focus with their thinking on better performance, on the wants, those are the ones the people who usually are more inclined to do something. People who are fixated on the problem and the negative things, they're usually a bit harder to work with, because they're in this negative state of mind, and it's hard to get them to change that, because as you know yourself, to really create change, you need to create positive emotions, change their mindset to think abundantly and think positively, to really then create that change, right? So that's usually a language that I would recommend to focus on the most. But if you talk to someone, you still need to be clear on the problems and fears as well, so you can like kind of bring them in to other parts, which we'll get clear a little bit later. So that alone, this exercise alone will give you much better language to really engage your audience and create more of an interest. Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? So this is a client here from us, Listen for Life. It's actually Teresa's dad. I always like to promote him a little bit because I love what he does, right? So he actually helps children, as you can see, like listen well, live better, helping children with learning disabilities unlock their potential and enjoy learning. And then it's like a call to action, take the listening scorecard. So what he does is he helps children with balance and music to be better at school and cope and build capacity and cope better in life. So it's really a beautiful thing. Now, that message here actually has been refined just recently, again, because also that language and where you're coming from with your business, that client attraction language is also a bit of an ongoing process, right? The more you do it, the more you refine it. But to get you started and dig a little bit deeper from the tip of the iceberg we just talked about, and we actually created a free client attraction language masterclass that we're about to finish right now. And by the time this video will be out, it will be finished, you can access that. So if you want to dig deeper into that, and I really, really recommend doing that to know exactly what you need to say and how to structure your content throughout all your online channels. I would really strongly recommend to have a look at the masterclass. And I'm sure, Kiki, you will put the link somewhere where it can be accessed.
Absolutely. And I, for one, can say that I had a peek at the worksheet, and yeah, it's really structured, definitely a valuable exercise that for those of you who are interested after watching this video, and if it's feeling like, okay, yep, I know I need that, but I need a little bit more hand-holding, this worksheet is basically just going to make it no fail for you. So thank you so much, Sebastian, for putting that together and for sharing. I will drop that in the links, and I so look forward to next month's session.
Me too, Kiki, me too. Thank you so much.